Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So in today's build we're actually going to be building a base game and desert LUXE only build. So basically I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I think it was in the base game family home that I did, I mentioned that I wanted to try and build a kind of like more modern mid-century kind of build with just the base game, because it's a style that I don't typically like even attempt with just the base game. Whenever I do base game builds, I usually go for either like maybe something more traditional or a like regular suburban house. So I wanted to do something a little bit outside of my comfort zone with, you know, trying to do a mid-century base game build. But I also wanted to do something else with the Desert LUXE kit, because I've actually only done one build with the Desert LUXE kit that was like themed around the kit, and I really wanted to do something else with it, and I wanted to try and see what I could do with, you know, just the base game and the kit. So those are the only two things that you're gonna need if you want to download this, because yeah, currently the base game isn't free at the moment, but the base game will actually be free starting on October 18th. So if you're watching this after October 18th, then the base game is completely free if you want to go ahead and like download it on Origin. I believe it's free on Steam as well as for like all consoles and everything like that. So yeah, if you want to download the base game for free for The Sims 4, then yeah, definitely go ahead, do that. But currently when I'm recording this like before the 18th obviously, but until the 17th of October, the Desert LUXE kit is actually free if you own the base game. So this is again for PC, Mac, console, everything. So if you have the base game, then you can go ahead and like claim or like redeem / download the Sims 4 Desert LUXE kit. So yeah, I wanted to do a build that was base game and Desert LUXE because, you know, Desert LUXE is currently free, the base game will be free. So yeah, I wanted to do something with those two packs. Also because, like I said, it's a style that I don't always do, and whenever I do mid-century builds, I usually do them, you know, with access to packs like, you know, Get Famous and Bowling Night stuff and all of that stuff. So yeah, usually I kind of like rely very heavily on those packs for like my mid-century builds. But yeah, it was actually really fun trying to like figure out this build with, you know, just the packs that I had access to, especially for the furniture style. Now, I don't know if, you know, the furniture that I ended up going for would be technically mid-century or if they're just like more contemporary, but I kind of did the best with what I had to work with, and I actually relied pretty heavily on the debug menu for this. So you'll see me using a bunch of debug base game fences and columns and these like really cool, very plain, almost like concrete block columns. I use them everywhere. I use them outside. They're technically fence posts for like the end pieces for fences, but I use them on the interior everywhere. I use them sized up as columns. I use like 2 or 3 of them together as columns. I use them, you know, to kind of create fake columns on the edges of the house, you know, where I would usually use the column from like, I think it's from Get Together. I obviously didn't have access to that, so I decided to just use those debug pieces and create my own like custom columns for the end pieces of the house. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with stuff like that. And then I actually, like I said, experimented with a lot of debug stuff. I also did a couple of things with the tool mod that usually when I build I don't think about doing. I don't even like, usually when I build I don't really think about, you know, trying to use items in different ways than, you know, they might originally have been intended for. I kind of just use what I have and use items like for their intended purpose, if that makes sense. But with this build, I try to like think a little bit out of the box and do some things that I don't typically do. So I actually really like the way, you know, stuff like that turned out. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about that once I get into the interior and I can kind of like explain it while you see what I'm doing, because otherwise it will just make no sense. But yeah, so the exterior of this house is very much like a mid-century style. I did look at like one reference picture just to get me started on the exterior. Now my build actually doesn't look anything like that, but I kind of just took inspiration for kind of, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but the layout of where the front door is, and then also that little walkway on the left hand side, that like open walkway. Now if I did this build on a bigger lot, this is only on a 20 by 15 lot, but if I did it on maybe like a 30 by 20 or something, then that walkway area at the side that's kind of like open, but it's also undercover. So that could have made like a perfect driveway if I did this on a slightly bigger lot and I had a little bit more space. But I didn't want to put this build on a bigger lot because I knew that if I did that, then I was going to end up making the house just way too big and kind of make it like unnecessarily big for what I wanted to do. So yeah, I didn't end up doing that. At the moment, it's going to be, or like when I'm done with it, it's just going to be like a cute little undercover porch bit type thing. So I end up putting a chest table out there, the outdoor garbage can, and then also a little bonsai bush, so your Sims can practice their gardening if that's something they wanted to do. I didn't really put any thought into the kind of Sims that would be living here, you know, their hobbies and skills or careers or anything like that. I kind of just built a somewhat generic type home and then tried to include a bunch of skill building items so that, you know, whatever you end up playing, whatever Sims you end up playing with, then, you know, you'll be fine with, you know, skill building items. But yeah, you will notice that we did just jump a little bit in the video and I cut out some of the exterior because I actually spent so much time trying to figure out the color scheme for this house. I don't know why it took me as long as it did, because I actually end up with a fairly basic color scheme. I actually go for this white siding and then this black concrete that actually came with the Desert Luxe kit. So I end up using those two colors on the exterior, and then we have, you know, those base game bricks for just the chimney area, and that's it. So the rest of the house is either black concrete or those like white siding. So yeah, it's fairly basic, so I don't know why it took me that long to figure it out. Now the interior is also going to be fairly basic, you know, color wise. I use just plain white paint and then accent walls with, you know, this base game like brick texture. I also use some that base game siding from the exterior, and then I end up putting in a like colorful accent wall later on in the kitchen and living room. But yeah, so we've moved on to the interior. And I can't remember what I was talking about before I got sidetracked with, you know, the colors. But yeah, like I said, this is a small house. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. I furnished it for like 3 Sims. So like 2 parents and a teenager is actually what I had in mind instead of a child. So that's kind of how I furnished the 2nd bedroom. But something else that I wanted to mention is this. So this like custom fireplace that I built, I actually built this fireplace kind of based on a like quick little like not shorts, but like TikTok video that I actually saw on Twitter. So yes, I saw a TikTok video reshared on Twitter by 𝘕𝘖𝘕. I'm probably saying their name so wrong, but I'll leave their Twitter linked down below. I believe they have, like I said, a TikTok as well. They also post, I don't know if they post like shorts on YouTube, I'm not sure, but I do know that they share their like TikTok posts to Twitter as well. So that's where I saw it, because I never go on TikTok like at all. So yeah, I'll leave that specific tweet linked down below because it's such an amazing idea and it's all base game. So that whole fireplace is basically the base game modern shelves, a regular base game fireplace, the like I don't know, like trophy shelf thing that you can unlock from the athlete career that I just sized up with the tool mod and stuff. But in the video, 𝘕𝘖 actually does it with, you know, just regular like the in-game 0 and 9 keys, or like, yeah, it's the bracket keys to size stuff up. But obviously I just made it a little bit more like precise with the tool mod to fit exactly where I wanted it. And in the video, Maya actually uses some like kitchen shelves and all of that stuff. I obviously modified it a little bit to, you know, fit where I wanted it to fit in the house. But it's completely functional. I playtested it multiple times. It works. There's a little tiny bit of the actual like sized down fireplace that you can see poking out through the rocks that I put there, just so that your Sims can click on the fireplace and like light it and put it out and stuff. But other than that, it works completely fine. You know, there's no issues with it. It didn't catch fire when I was playtesting this build either, so fingers crossed it like isn't like a total fire hazard. But yeah, it didn't catch fire when I was playtesting it, so yeah, fingers crossed for that. But yeah, it works totally fine. I also playtested the TV that's on top of the fireplace, just because I know that sometimes the game gets a little bit finicky with TVs and stereos if you like raise them up without them technically like being snapped to a table or whatever. But I did playtest the TV. Like I said, my Sim could sit on all of the couches, watch TV, they could, you know, switch channels, all of that stuff. So yeah, I think it should work. It worked when I playtested it. So yeah, again, fingers crossed. I know sometimes the game is very finicky with stuff like that, where, you know, a playtested build, sometimes something might work for me, for example, but if you download it, something might not work. You know, I know the game is very finicky with stuff like that. It's happened to me a bunch of times before as well, where I'll playtest a build before I upload it, and then months later I'll go back and like try and play in that specific build, and something won't work that, you know, I did playtest and it did work. But sometimes when they update the game, you know, they change like really minor things, and then suddenly a whole bunch of builds just don't work, which is really irritating as a builder. As someone that has over like 1,000, I think I have like 1,100 and something uploads on the gallery. Most of those, probably around like 800 or 900 of those uploads are like either room builds or apartments or just actual house builds. So as someone with a lot of builds on the gallery, whenever they update something that causes, you know, random stuff to not work, it's very irritating, because I don't know what in my older builds actually still works and what doesn't. But yeah, I'm trying to get better and trying to remember to like playtest everything in my builds, because yeah, like I said, sometimes something will work 1 minute and the next it just won't, which is very irritating. But I don't know why I just went on a ramble about that. But yes, this house is playtested, everything works, your Sims can get everywhere, they can get in everything and use everything and all of that stuff. But yeah, so moving on to, I don't know what I was talking about before I got off on that tangent. So yeah, hopefully the thought will come back at some point. But anyway, so the interior of this house, I don't know, I like the way it turned out. I'm not saying that. I do like the way this house turned out. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Especially since, like I said, I did some things that I normally wouldn't do. I normally wouldn't even think to like attempt, like the fireplace, for example. If I hadn't seen Maya's video about it, like, you know, 20 minutes before I actually went in to like start this build, I would have completely forgotten about it, and like completely forgotten that I even wanted to try something with the fireplace. But yeah, for, you know, everything that I tried with this build and, you know, stuff like that, I'm actually really happy with the way it turned out. I did a lot of things that, again, I didn't normally do. I tried to use items in, you know, different ways than I would usually use them, and kind of like try to merge items together to make them look a little bit more interesting and not like, you know, every other like base game build that I've ever done or like every other mid-century build that I've ever done. So yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think. You'll have to let me know if you think, you know, this build is cute and if you can see yourself downloading or playing with this or whatever. But I was really stuck on the interior of this build with the color scheme. So I did look up a couple of mid-century interior pictures as well, and obviously, you know, if you look up mid-century interiors, they're very kind of, they vary a lot. Yeah, so vary with the A, not an E. But yeah, they vary a lot from being super colorful and kind of like contemporary to being super monochrome or super neutral. So I kind of try to find a balance with it, you know, obviously because also I was restricted with just the base game stuff. But yeah, so I try to go for a very neutral colors for most of the build. So a lot of black, a lot of white especially, as well as some like lighter woods and browns. And then I tried to incorporate some fun pops of color. So with, you know, all of the rugs and stuff, for example, are all very neutral. But the dining chairs are bright blue. There's a bright blue couch in the living room. You know, we have the blue kind of like aqua colored wall like as an accent. And then, you know, I try to use a lot of blue and orange accents throughout the house, which I actually really like the way it turned out. It's not a color scheme I do all that often. I usually shy away from using like complementary colors in a build, just because I know it can be very easy to like overdo it and make it like a lot on your eyes. So I try to keep that in mind, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really all that comfortable with a color scheme like this, or even this whole like mid-century style. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. Like I said, tried my best. I tried to use some fun sculptures and stuff, because that's also something that I saw a lot of in the like reference pictures that I was looking at, or inspiration pictures, is there's a lot of like fun sculptures, and just, it's not very cluttered, it's a little bit more minimal, but there's a lot of like different shapes and like interesting shapes. So I tried to play around with that and try to come up with something that I actually liked, which honestly I do really like the way this build turned out, which again, like I said, wasn't sure that I was going to like it, but I did end up liking it a lot. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think. But yeah, so like I said, I didn't furnish this build with any like specific sims in mind, you know, thinking, oh, maybe one of the parents are like a cook or like a chef or a writer or anything like that. I didn't have any idea for them whatsoever. So the house itself is fairly basic. There's a bunch of skill building items, like I said. There's obviously 2 TVs. The parents also have a TV in their bedroom. But there's obviously the computer, there's a really nice, quite sizable kitchen that I really like. Then we have outside, we have a chess table, we have the little bonsai bush. I also put in 2 small plant boxes in the backyard as well. There isn't a lot of skill building items for like exteriors or backyards in just the base game, so I kind of just included a really nice grill bar area with a lot of items from the Desert LUXE kit, and then just a little seating area. There's also a small table outside, and yeah, that's going to be basically the exterior. But for the kids' bedroom, or the teenagers' bedroom, I tried to personalize it a little bit more, but it's also still fairly like, I guess not neutral, because it's very like, it's very stylized, but also it's very, I don't know, generic, if that makes sense. So basically it's like a teenager's bedroom. So it's kind of for like an artsy / creative teenager. So there's a guitar in their bedroom, and they also have an art easel. But the color scheme that I ended up going for is actually inspired by this bed that I used. So this base game bed, it's the one with the guitars on them. So that's kind of where I got the whole creative teenager idea from. But it's also a little bit darker than the rest of the house. So I use those white siding, like white panel wallpapers, and then this like ombre black and white wallpaper as like 2 accent walls. And yeah, then we just have a bunch of like darker blue and also a lot of orange. So I really liked, you know, having this very kind of like monochrome wallpaper, and then adding a lot of color with the rug, the bed, and you know, the lamps and stuff, and then this cool like art wall that I ended up doing, which I really liked. So yeah, it's a fairly small bedroom, but it has everything they could need apart from like a desk or something. But I don't know, I usually, my sims, whenever I play the game, I kind of don't really care where they do their homework as long as they do it. I'll always try and include like a desk in all of my kids' rooms or teenager rooms in my builds, just for like, I don't know, I know some people like having desks in their bedrooms, especially if later on, you know, maybe you want to add a computer or whatever. But yeah, usually also my kids' rooms tend to be quite big, so having a desk just fills up space. But for this one, obviously I didn't have space for that. So yeah, that's basically the whole interior. Now, moving on to the exterior, we have, you know, like I said, this kind of like outdoor kitchen type area. Now, I did cut out a couple of things from this because, again, it took me forever. It took me quite a while to kind of like figure out what I wanted to do. And then also, it took me quite a while to like figure out what worked and, you know, trying to just figure out how I wanted to lay everything out and all of that stuff. So I did cut out some of it, but I actually really like the way it turned out, like I said. And yeah, I also definitely used a lot of debug items, especially obviously for landscaping and stuff. I think every landscaping like item on this build or in this build, apart from the rocks that I end up putting, is all from the debug or like the live edit menu, because it looks better, it fits the world better. I don't know why. But most of the debug landscaping just looks better than the regular like catalog ones, and I don't know why that is, but it also fits in better with the world. So yeah, I don't know, I really like the way it turned out. It's very minimal obviously because there isn't like a super big yard to landscape, but also because we're in Oasis Springs, I didn't want to go like too overboard with landscaping. Now, the backyard does have a fairly nice open area that you could easily put in something else if you wanted to. I could have included a telescope because I do know we have a telescope in the base game, like a small telescope, but I just forgot, and honestly I didn't think it fit with, you know, obviously I didn't have any specific sims in mind, so I didn't want to put in a telescope just for, you know, the sake of it. And I couldn't find a way of making it work either, so I just didn't. But yeah, we have a 4-seater table outside as well. That's something that I end up adding like right at the end, just to fill in that little like open grassy bit, because I don't have a like outdoor table anywhere else. But yeah, that's basically going to be it. We're just going to be finishing up this little like seating area and then doing that little area on the side of the house, and yeah, that's going to be basically it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, give the video a like. If you're new to the channel and you'd like to see some more Sims content, feel free to hit the subscribe button and turn on notification bell as well to be notified of whenever I upload a new video. But yeah, if you want to download this, it is up on the gallery. Like I said, it's base game and Desert LUXE only, and there's no custom content in it whatsoever. So if you want to download it, it is up there. I'll also have a download link in the description to the gallery website, and then obviously tray files will go up for channel members, and then 3 weeks later it will be public, or like the tray files will be public. But yeah, I'll also have my gallery ID and searchable hashtags and all of that stuff in the description as always. Now, something else that I really wanted to mention that I almost forgot about is the fact that I'm actually recording this on Tuesday night, and we literally just got a patch for The Sims 4 for the base game, and the patch just added a bunch of like bug fixes, obviously, but they also added a couple of things to the base game, because obviously, you know, the base game is going to be going like free later in the month. But they added 5 new tattoos, which is actually really cool. I haven't had a look at them myself, but they added like 3 plum bob tattoos and then 2 cow plant tattoos. They also added a new base game trait, which is the loyal trait. So basically your Sims won't like cheat on their partners if they have the loyal trait, which is good. They also added a plum bob ceiling fan that, from the pictures that I've seen, looks really weird. And it's giving like major, you know, like anniversary hot tub vibes, if you know what I mean. But yeah, we won't talk about that. And then they also added in an Emily help system, kind of like a tutorial type system for the game, which I will never ever use because I have over 12,000 hours in this game. So yeah, I don't really need tutorials. But yeah, that's everything that they've added in the patch. I'll leave the patch notes linked below as well. But I hope you're all having a great day and a great week, and I'll talk to you all in my very next video. Bye everyone.
Wish I could say I was finally over you, but that's not the truth. Everyone always keep falling in love again. What's wrong with them? I don't understand. Maybe it will pass by, someone save me. Before I pass out, I'm too lonely to be done. I'ma drink at this place. Yeah. Why am I the only one who's left in the rain with nobody to hold on to? Why am I the only one who's feeling this pain when there should be two of us? And yeah, I know we both wanted different things, but letting go just comes easy and you don't let. Why am I the only one who's left in the rain? If I had an option to be someone else, I would, and let go of you. I know that I'm obvious, forget I made this way, but why didn't I stay when I had the chance? Maybe it will pass by, someone save me. Before I pass out, I'm too lonely